Hey everybody, it's Zori from OneScales. In today's video, I'm going to cover Shopify B2B, something that's available for Shopify Plus only, and it's something that's very rarely covered online. There's very little information of it online. That's why I wanted to make this video and this article to teach you guys what it can do, what it can't do, show you visuals so you can see if it's fitting for your business and you can decide to use it or not. This channel is always here to share more information for you guys, make it easier for you guys to understand so you can move forward without having to learn too many things, to spend years to figure out all these details, to set up paid accounts. You can see everything here. You can ask us questions, and then you can decide if it fits you or not. Okay, and then obviously we're here to listen from you guys. If you have any comments, anything you want to share, please let me know. So let's start very simply. The first thing is the introduction. What is Shopify B2B? Shopify B2B is a way for you to make your Shopify, your e-commerce store, your shop, more fitting for B2B types of businesses. B2B, very simply, is business to business. If your business, your website is selling to other businesses, not customers or consumers, then the B2B functionality will be fitting for what you need. Shopify in general, without the B2B, just the regular Shopify is fit for B2C, business to consumers or business to customers, or some people call it direct to consumer, DTC. So that means that a customer goes to your website, they register one account, they buy from you. But on B2B, businesses buy from you. So there's customers that use, or employees under the business that they buy from you. There's different payment terms, there's different shipping requirements, there's different promotion requirements, there's different visual and layout requirements. So Shopify B2B is here to make it fit for B2B businesses. In general, it's really good. It's growing. There's more functionality over time. There's some missing functionality which you may need to customize, which we'll talk about. But in general, it's a really good functionality. It's available for Shopify Plus. Shopify Plus is obviously a more expensive, more paid solution, but it's really good. And I want to show everything to you guys right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it to you, the experience of the business running everything in the back end, and share to you a little bit about the experience of a customer or a business buying from you. Okay, so let's go into the back end and I'll share with you all these details, and let's go. So the first thing that you have to be aware of, if you're familiar with Shopify backend, you have all the elements here on the left, all the navigation. Typically, when someone buys from you in B2C, you have customers. A customer registers, they have an email password, they register, they buy from you. That's it. Just one customer, one transaction, one order. But what you have here is you have a new section called companies. So every business that wants to buy from you, you actually have to add them as a company, and you have to specify, okay, what's the company information, what's their addresses, who are the representatives, who are the contacts that can buy, that are authorized to buy from this company. And you have all these other settings like special pricing, discount pricing, tiered pricing, special catalogs, all these kind of things. So the first thing you need to understand is that companies buy from you. If you want to set up a new company, you just go here to the back end, click on add company. This is assuming obviously that you already have your back and forth things that are offline. For example, the company submitted their application to you and they showed their financial requirements, or you have some kind of agreement with them, some kind of documentation, assuming you already have passed all those things and you approved a company to be working or buying from you. You click on add, you type in the company name. For example, let's say I have a company, so We Buy Everything. Okay, let's just say that's the company name, Inc., just for example. A company ID, this is for your internal, it's optional. If you have some kind of internal record, maybe you have thousands of companies, you can put it maybe in your ERP or something like that. Okay, now the next thing, you're going to select a contact. You have to have someone that's authorized to buy on behalf, an employee, a sales, a purchasing department person, or something like that. If you can either add them as a customer right here, or if they've registered on the website, you can just associate them. For example, you can select here, or you can search for them. You can just add a new customer, just like you add a new customer on the left-hand side. And then you're going to specify their location. A company can have more than one location. Obviously, if, for example, let's say Best Buy is buying from me, they might have 100 locations, and I can set up all their locations because each location can have different terms. Maybe The location in Los Angeles has certain terms. They buy in certain terms or certain quantities, and they have certain contacts, right? Certain people buy from. But the New York one has different discounts or different catalogs or different things like that. So one business can have one or more locations that buy from you. A location is used to set up settings and obviously shipping, right? You need to actually ship your products once they pay to that location, okay? There's a location ID. In the company, you're going to specify the catalog. What products can they see and they buy? You can show them all of your products in the back end or a limited products. You can share with them only some of your products. You can create a catalog, which we're going to show all of these things. You can specify their payment terms. So very simply put, no payment terms. What that means is just like in the regular Shopify, the B2C, the direct to consumer, when someone wants to create an order, they actually have to put a credit card on file, and they just go to the checkout page, they add products to their cart. In the checkout page, they put their credit card in, they pay successfully. If it went, the order went well. But many businesses of B2B actually have not just the pay right now, which is called no payment terms, or no terms other than credit card and regular payments. They also have other things, for example, due on fulfillment. When you can order now, you don't need to put a credit card or anything. When you click, when we ship to you, then the payment will send you an invoice and you have to pay by whatever offline method, bank transfer, check, other payment, offline. These are all these offline things. These are things that Shopify will not collect payment, but eventually when your bank receives the money, your finance department will notify you, and then you actually specify, okay, they paid, you say mark as paid, and that's it. Net 7, all these Net 7, 15, 30, etc. These are basically later payments that B2B businesses are very, very common that say after an order is placed, after an invoice is sent, you have, for example, 30 days to pay it, 30 days after to pay. Depending on the agreement that you make with that specific company, you will specify the terms themselves, okay? And so the next one is you can specify in the checkout, do you allow the customer, the business, to specify which address to ship to, or you define it, set in your agreement, they can only ship to that one address. That's a very small setting. The next one is very, very important one, which a lot of B2B businesses might be different, which is the order submission. When someone actually clicks on the order, depending on the payment terms and the catalog and everything, will that order be placed in the orders? Does it mark as paid? Is it marked as moving forward? Or will it stop as a draft order, which is something in the orders here? Let me show you. Draft orders, these are what we call back-end orders or draft orders, orders that need to either be approved internally, so maybe you need your salesperson needs to review it, or they need to actually be paid later or marked as paid later. A lot of B2B businesses will mark their orders as draft orders first and then do some kind of approval process either by payment or some manual approval, and then change that draft order into a regular order when payment is received. But that really depends on the type of business you have. Okay, so this is a very important setting. And other than that, you have your tax ID and any kind of tax exemptions. A lot of B2B businesses, wholesale businesses, depending where you are, which state, which country, which area, and what type of product you're selling, you might have some tax exemptions. They may or may not need to pay taxes. This is B2B. It's different from B2C. So once you do that, you submit it, you're good. So let's review a few things. I made some examples I can show you. So for example, I created a fake store. I just made up some names called Super Atlantic Store. I can see my data, how many orders they've made. For example, they've made one order and this is the total. I can see the locations. I can see, this is my order summary. I can view all the orders or some of them, and I can see all the locations they can buy from. Each location has different terms, different contact people that work at that location, and different terms you'll see in a second, okay? Now, the store itself, you can edit all the information. You can edit the company details, the company ID and the company name. You can actually edit the payment terms, and I want to specify that payment terms can be edited here, but every location has their own specific terms in case you have different agreements with different locations, which happens all the time. For example, different taxes in different states, or they can see different catalogs, or they have different representatives, or many other things like that. Okay? Now, the store itself, you have the payment terms, you have the checkout settings, which specify is it a draft order, regular order, or can they ship to the any location or not. And you can specify which catalogs, which types of products do you allow them to order, either all the catalog, which we'll show very shortly, or some of them. So I can specify if I have multiple catalogs, I can specify the catalogs, which products, and if there's any discounts within those products, which we'll see very soon because it's very important. The next thing is every business must have a main contact. One contact, which is basically one of the customers that is here, one of the customers. Either you have created that for the customer, or a customer has created and you've assigned a customer to a business. Okay, and then you have to have at least one customer, and every location has to have at least one customer assigned to it, because you need someone to buy on behalf of that location, on behalf of that business. So you have to have that, okay? In order for someone to buy on behalf of business, you have to have all the settings there, and you have to have one person as a main contact and at least one person for every single location that is buying, okay? You can have your own notes. These are internal notes, and that's it. Those are kind of all the main things. Now, once you've actually assigned a customer to a new business, you can actually welcome them by sending them a B2B access email. And for example, you specify the customer that's assigned to that business, that's authorized. And you can see this is, for example, the template itself. You can customize this template and it welcomes them. You can send an email and you're good to go. Okay. Now, that's a very simple part of companies. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me know if I'm going too fast, too slow, if you have a detailed question itself. So companies have a lot of things. They have locations. So let's look at a location, for example. There's even more details for this. Okay, so location has to be assigned with obviously addresses, a shipping and a billing address, because you need to ship your goods there and you need to bill a certain place. You need to send the invoice to a certain person, a certain location. These are all fake data that I just made for this video. This is a temporary development store just for this video. You have to have this. You're interacting with another business, you need to get their information, their name, their tax ID, their address, their contact information. And then based on your internal agreement with them, you need to assign to them a catalog. So you can manage your catalogs, which I'll show you very soon. Which catalog do they have? Any discounts, any special agreements with that catalog? The payment terms, the payment methods, if they have something, a saved credit card on file. The checkout settings, so for example, is it a draft order or not, or regular order, the tax ID, and any tax exemptions, anything we saw here, just like we saw on the page before, but every location has specific things that might be different from other locations. Okay, you have all the detail right here. So you have this here. So what I want to show you right now is catalogs. Right? So let's go here to products. In addition to all the settings you have right here, you have another one in B2B called catalogs. This is currently a list of all my all of my catalog is here. This is just for my dev site, but this is what I have. So for example, I'm selling all kinds of snowboard gear, and I'm selling it only for wholesale, right? So I'm going to go here to catalog, and let's say I've already created 4 different types of catalogs. For example, I have a silver tier. Maybe they get 10% off all the products, all the retail cost price. I have a gold one. Maybe they get 20% off. And maybe I have some that don't get any discount, or maybe some that get 5%. But I also have some kind of price overrides, which means some of the products get even more discount or even less discount. I can override and say, you know what, this gets 10% off the whole catalog that I specify, but this one gets 5%, but actually I have applied some of the products have completely different discounts. And every catalog is assigned to either one or multiple locations, and the location, as you know, is part of a customer, of a business, a company. Okay, so let's go right here. Let's say I have a catalog right here. Let me create one new. I can specify, does it belong to all products in my products or specific products? And I can specify that either via selecting, or I can specify a CSV. I can upload a CSV and say, you know what, I want you to only include these SKUs. Okay, so I'm gonna for now do all. And then when you go here, these are all the products here, and any new products will be automatically added or not, depending if you specify this checkbox. Now, what I can say, for example, this is a new tier. Let's just call it, this is the VIP tier. For example, all of my top vendors, all of my top wholesalers that buy a lot from me, maybe I give them a very big discount. For example, I give them 35% off my retail price. Okay, you can also do increase. You can do different ways to do it. Okay, so I can do that. I can specify which company locations. I can search and specify from my locations. A location belongs to a company, as we mentioned before. For example, all of these it'll belong to. Okay, that my main currency, which you have to have one main currency right here. Okay, and is it active or not? You can actually pause them or remove them, obviously. Now, one of the things you can do, let me show you. Let me save this, for example, VIP tier. Is I can click right here and I can manage the override. So here I specify that all 16 products, the entire catalog, has a 35% off discount. But I can actually override that either via import or export CSV, or I can do it manually if I don't have too many products. So it says here everything is 35% off, unless I actually override it by clicking here and doing one of these. So let's say, for example, I have this product and I don't want it to be $1,700. I want to say, you know what? I'm actually going to give a discount. It'll be, for example, only my wholesale would be, let's say, $400. So if I override that and I save that, that means that if the company belongs to this VIP tier, it'll get it for actually $400. Now, in addition to that, I can do other things. So for example, I want this to be a flat fee. This is $400 only. It's a huge discount for my wholesalers. But also I have here, let me refresh this. I can have quantity rules here. So what is a quantity rule in a volume pricing? This will specify a few things. This is really nice, and this is very relevant to B2B or wholesale buying. So first of all, I can specify, is there a minimum quantity that I require them to buy from? So for example, you have to buy at least 200 to buy. So for example, I can do this. You can buy one at like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But the minimum you have to buy when you're on the product page, when you add to cart, is 200. I can also specify a maximum. Sometimes there is a maximum. For example, let's say 5,000. I don't need to specify that if I don't want. An increment means I have to buy at least that number at a time. So for example, if I do this 10, that means when they add to cart, it has to be 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. with a minimum, obviously 200. So it has to be at least 200, 210, 220, etc. He cannot buy 205. It has to be 210, 200, 210, 220, etc. Okay. And the last one is the volume pricing, which these two add to buttons open the same pop-up. So this basically is some kind of tier that get even more pricing, even better pricing. So for example, let's make it simple for you guys to understand. Let me save this. Let's cancel for a second. Let me do this. And one. Okay, so let's say I go here and I say if they buy between, let's say 200, let's say they buy only 200, they're going to get one piece for $9.07 each. But if they buy at least, for example, 400, they can get each piece for, let's say, $8.55. And if they buy between 400 and 600, they're going to get this price. But above 600, maybe they'll get it for $8.01, for example. So now there's all these price breaks which specify the price you get per unit based on the minimum amount. Okay? And again, if you have any questions about all these details, please let me know. But these are pretty basic things for wholesale and B2B, etc. So now I overrid this specific one and this one, and all the ones I did not override will get this 35% off. Okay? Hope that makes sense. I can save it. Now I have special pricing. Okay, now I've also specified that this catalog that has these products, that has these discounts, will belong to these companies at these locations. Okay, so I hope that makes sense how everything ties together. Okay, so we got that. And let's go back here to my customers and companies. And let's say I have a new customer that I want to assign. I can go to the company itself and I can add some new customers. For example, add a customer. Let's say, for example, this example. Right here, I specify next, and I can assign it to a specific company. Now, customers, which are basically employees of specific businesses, can be assigned to one or more locations of that business. And there's two types of settings. There's an ordering only, which means that customer can just order for that location only, and they just order and that's it. The other one is a location admin, which that specific customer can both order and they can also see other orders that other customers have made to the same location. So I hope that makes sense. You might have to replay this a little bit to understand what that means, but really simply,
Location admin means they can see all the orders from that location and they can make their own orders. And ordering only means they can only order. They cannot see other customers or other employees that ordered for that same location. Hope that makes sense. Okay, great. So other than that, let's see what other things we have. If I go to orders, if you're familiar with Shopify orders, you'll be able to see everything. Now you have an additional column, which is the customer, or additional detail in the column is a customer. And below that, if they actually ordered from a business, you'll have the company name right here. You can click on the drop down. You can see a little more detail to view the company. So there's a little bit more detail in the customer, in the orders itself, than regular B2C. Okay, so other than that, so we covered orders, we covered products and catalogs, we covered customers and companies. Okay, what else do we have that we can actually customize and do things? So one thing you need to know is if you go to the settings, you can actually customize some of the emails of the B2B emails, which are unique to only B2B. So if you go to settings and notifications and you search for B2B, there's going to be 2 emails you can actually see. Okay, the B2B access email, which is the email that you can actually send to a specific employee of a company, or we call them customer of a company, to welcome them to say, hey, your account is ready to buy on behalf of this company. And the second thing is you have the B2B location update payment method, which basically means if a customer wants to update their stored payment method, for example, they have a new credit card on file, they can actually request to update it. They can update the payment method. They'll also get a confirmation email. Okay, those are the 2 emails that you can customize. The next thing you need to make sure that you have is the online store, the actual theme itself. So the layout, as you are probably aware, B2C businesses and B2B businesses probably have some different layouts. They have some different requirements, have some different things to have. So you want to probably work with your designer, make some different banners. You want to work with a developer to actually make some different customizations to fit more for B2B. Typically, B2B businesses don't have as many or as much layouts, designs, animations. They're more simple. They just show all the very basic specs like the SKU, the price, everything. Let people order very quickly. Let them see their confirmation. Let them reorder. So typically, you want to have things that are a little bit more simple. So I'll give you an example. Let's go to the front end, and this is just one example, but obviously you need to customize this. Let's say I'm on my demo store. So first of all, maybe you want on your category page to easily add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. Okay, that's one example. Another example is maybe you want on your category page, your collection page, or your product page, an easy way to see all the list of the SKUs and then just easily just add all the quantity. I want, 60 of these. I want 20 of these. I want to just very easily add to cart. You want a list of everything. This is very popular within B2B businesses. List all the products. Maybe I have like 500 products. I want to click, 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 and do that kind of stuff. Another feature that is not available with Shopify B2B, but you have to customize, which is very common to a lot of B2B businesses, is a way for you to upload some kind of purchase CSV. So for example, Excel sheet with all the SKUs you want to purchase and how many quantity, and that'll add to cart, and you can just click on the button and make an order and make a purchase order and then move forward. This is a very common one. You can either copy paste it or just save it as Excel or CSV. Go to your actual store, input it here, copy paste, or just click and order. This is something that Shopify B2B lacks. I hope they actually build it in the future, but if not, you can develop your own fairly easily with the developer with not that much effort. If you want to understand better, you can ask us more information, but obviously you need your own developer to do that. It's a really required feature, and hopefully Shopify will build it in the future. And hopefully also Shopify will have some more themes and some more layouts. One thing we found one theme or layout that we found is not bad is the extra theme. It actually has some very basic B2B layouts, especially for homepage and collection page. Again, it's only one that we found that is fairly okay. It looks pretty good. It's not fitting all businesses. You probably need to customize with the developer, but that's one thing in the Shopify store that you can buy that's pretty good. At least that's the best one that we have found so far. If you have any other ones that are also good or better, we would love to know, because Shopify doesn't have that many that are really good for wholesale. And most of the time, B2B companies that use Shopify Plus, they actually have their own developers to customize it, and it's probably the best thing you can do as of now. Hopefully there'll be more themes and layouts available in the future, but that's the way to go. Customize your own is probably the best way to go as of today, etc. Okay, let's see what else you have that's very important that we have right here. Let's show you a little bit about an order. This is something that's really nice about B2B. When a customer actually goes, a business wants a purchase from you, the flow is much quicker because most B2B payment terms do not have credit cards. So you don't even need to input anything. You already have your address, your company information there. You add to cart, you click order, and it's finished. The flow is very, very quick, very easy, very frictionless. The amount of abandoned carts should be very, very little because it's such a flow. So for example, I went to the catalog, I added all these things. Let's just say all these things, for example. Gift cards are not really relevant. These are just for a demo store, so let me remove them. Let's say I added 4,000 of this SKU and 10 of this and 1 of this. What I'm going to go to checkout. Okay, now my checkout page looks very similar to the other one. I need to log in, of course. So let me log in. Now, one of the things with B2B is B2B uses new customer accounts. So I want to show you in a second how that looks. But first, I want to make an order. So you see, this is my checkout page. For example, I work for We Sell Wax, and I'm this account. I'm this customer or this employee that's authorized to buy. Here's my products. I already have the addresses. Everything's already set up because I already set it up in my agreement with the business. I can go here. There's no payment method. Obviously, I have a payment term that you pay later. Everything's okay. If I have a PO number from my sales rep or something like that, I input it. If not, I click here, and that's it. Very, very simply, the order is made. You see, there's no credit card, coupon codes, enter your address, auto fill anything. The order is there. Now my order is in the back end. I have a new order. Depending on my setting, it's either going to be a draft order or a regular order. You can see I just made the order right here. I can see it. Here's my products. Here's everything. Here's my company information, and very, very easy, right? My payment terms in this case, for example, is due on fulfillment. When I ship it, actually, the customer or the business needs to pay. Depending, if it's the net plus 30, you can have this, etc. So you have all these stuff. You have payment reminders. Obviously, you can set up payment reminders for the customer or the business. It's really, really simple. It works well. If they paid, everything's cool. I click on create order. It becomes here in the orders, just like a very simple flow. So those are basically the main things of Shopify B2B. It's really simple. There's not too many things to do. You have all these B2B functionalities. They're very simple. It's not too advanced Shopify Plus, Shopify B2B, but it works well for a lot of businesses, and I hope they're going to be adding more things, just like we saw here. The purchase quantity, you can do that as well. One more thing which I need to mention before, when we talked about catalogs, you remember I showed you in our tiers that you can actually override them one by one. You can go one by one, but if you have a lot of quantity, you can actually go here and you can actually import by CSV. First, you can just make one manually, export it so you have a template, and then you can import it. It'll be looking something like this. So let me zoom in a little bit. So you'll have your very basic Shopify catalog template. And in addition to the template, like the handle, which is very important, and the product name and all these stuff, what you'll have here is all these things that we just overrid before: the minimum, the increment quantity, the minimum order amount, the maximum order amount. And then if you have the tiers, just like we did before, let's go right here. Just like we did before, these columns right here, the quantities, these things, increment, minimum, maximum, and the price breaks between 1 and 500 and 1,000. You have these same things right here in your template. For example, maximum order quantity break. So buy at least 100, it'll be 12, and etc., etc. Buy at least 200, it'll be 11, etc., etc. This is just the detail of, you can do everything by CSV, and you can also use APIs if you have a programmatic way. For example, maybe your ERP or something like that, you can actually have your developer send these things automatically from your system, but that's a different topic for today. For now, we're showing everything you can do by yourself using your computer or the backend. Okay, so that's one of the things you can also do. I think it's very popular, very common, especially for wholesale and B2B, very large quantity of catalogs. Okay, those are basically everything you have. So there's a few small details, but I wanted you guys to understand how it works, how the orders work, how the backend works. And again, if you have any questions, we're here to help you guys. We're here to share a lot of great information online, to spread information, help you make better decisions. If you did like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. It helps us grow. We believe we have really good content for you guys, and we would love to hear from you guys how to improve as well. But we want to share it with everybody and make better things, and we believe we really have good content for you guys. So let me know what you think. Please, again, share your opinion, share what you like. Tell me what you do use for Shopify B2B, Shopify Plus, etc. And if you do anything custom, we would love to hear from you guys. Thank you again. Much, much appreciated. Take care.